Hi, I'm Seven Sentinel, and welcome back to my series of videos where I teach you how to make maps for SRB2. We have a little bit of a different opening today, because I have to give you a spoiler alert. There's stuff we're about to talk about that's unlockable, so I need you to go beat the game, and also beat the first level that you unlock. Alright, did you go and do that? You got all the stuff now? Okay, I trust you. I trust you with this. Alright, so we're going to discover how to basically separate out individual paths for Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Metal, and Fang. I warned you, there were spoilers. So let's just go ahead and get into this. I've prepared some geometry. And right now, if we look at it, it's all the same. You know, we can play it as any character, and it plays exactly the same. You know, Sonic can go through here and do whichever platform, and we can use dev mode to switch characters. Oh nice, I've misspelled the skin command. That's embarrassing. Anyway, we can use Knuckles to go through all these paths, and it really doesn't matter that much. And the experience in play is basically the same, except we have different abilities, and that's boring. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it more interesting. Specifically, we're going to split paths for these characters accordingly. Here's a Knuckles and Amy path, here's a Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Metal path, and here's a Sonic, Tails, Fang, and Metal path. We're going to start with the middle path here, because it's going to be the easiest to explain. Basically, the common factor between Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Metal is that they can all spin dash. So, basically, we're going to take this ceiling down. Oh, we're going to make this whole sector about 32 units tall. And we're done. No, really, that's it. That's how you do that. If you want, you can put like a little block in there, but you'll notice if we walk, there's not enough room. We can spin under it though, because when you're rolling, you take up less space. So we can go back into dev mode. We can play as Amy, for example, and there is absolutely no way she can get in here, because she cannot spin dash at all. We can play as Fang. There's also no way for him to get in here. We can play as Tails. We can play as Tails. And we can just spin right in there. No problem. So that's how you do that. You can put a bustable block in there if you want, but I recommend just leaving it empty. Speaking of bustable blocks, that's how you're going to make Knuckles and Amy paths. So, let's take this down so that it's only, I don't know, 256 units? Sure, that'll work. In fact, let's make it even shorter. Yeah, 192, that'll be fine. We want this to be the same floor and ceiling height as this sector, so we're going to go ahead and use the J button to merge them, and then divide them up again using the Mega Sectors Mode button, which is over here. Let's see, let's give this a tag first. It can be 13. We're going to make sure that has a tag of 13 as well, and then we're going to go into Special FOFs. Bustable block. And we're not quite done yet, but I'm going to show you how that looks right now. So a couple things. First, the player has no idea that there is a bustable block here because we have not given it a different texture than the rest of the walls. It just looks identical to everything else. Secondly, you can just spin through it, which is not what we want right now. So let's fix that. So let's change the floor and ceiling to be GFC crack, because that makes it easier to use the find and replace tool, which is over here, to find your cracked FOFs. And then we'll also apply the same texture to the wall here. And seriously, that makes it so easy. If we go into sector flat, GFC crack, we can just find it. We can also use side def texture to find it, because in this case, because GFC crack is a texture, which in the current version of SRB2 means it can be used on both walls and sector flats and ceilings. So now we can find just the one. That's actually something I forgot to go over earlier. So if you hit all here, you will see textures and flats. Flats do not work on walls right now. So what you want to do is filter by textures or textures. Yes, I know it's weird that there's two of them there, but textures is something like all these are composite textures. Like there's a text lump that tells the game, okay, I need you to put this graphic on top of this graphic on top of this graphic on top of this graphic, etc. That's this stuff. This one is just the base graphics. You don't want to go into flats because they're just not going to work on the walls unless we fix that, in which case you can just do whatever you want because the future is just so great, I guess. Anyway, so why can Sonic spin dash through this right now? Well, it's because we haven't checked effect 6, which is strong characters only. So we're going to go ahead and check that. And we'll go back into the game. Okay, now you can tell there's a bustable block here, which is great, and Sonic can't go through it. So let's go back into dev mode. Let's be Knuckles, and just kind of take a step forward, and it works. Now, the reason this works with Amy too is because she has her hammer, so she can do that. Cool, right? Okay. But that's not really all there is to making a Knuckles path. So you're probably wondering what this stuff is and what this is. So basically we're going to make it so that Knuckles has to climb. We're going to force him to climb because we're rude like that. So we're going to take this up such that there's only, say, 64 units of space to move. You'll notice I've applied all these textures beforehand. If you want to know more about applying textures to stuff, you need to go watch some of my earlier videos. Anyway, we do that. Let's see. We're going to take this down to, oh, I don't know, how about there? We're going to take this down about like this. Yeah, I know this doesn't look like anything yet. That's because it isn't anything yet. Knuckles will have no problem at all just climbing out of this room because he can just climb anywhere in this room. Anywhere in general, really. So what we have to do is we have to first give all these walls a different texture, and then we have to check the not climbable effect. Now, it's important that you do both of those, because if you don't mark something as not climbable, and you give it the wrong texture, people are going to look at it and go, oh, I can't climb there. If you don't give it the right texture, but you give it not climbable, people are going to try climbing on it and go, why can't I climb on this? So make sure you have those together. Very important for gameplay purposes. So let's just go ahead and apply that to the entire rest of the room. Okay, so now that I've done that, Knuckles can't climb anywhere, and Knuckles cannot get out of this room. This is not necessarily desirable, so what we're actually going to do is we're going to put our regular texture back on this. We're going to uncheck not climbable, and then we're going to put our regular texture back on this and uncheck not climbable. And now Knuckles has a nice little path to get out of this room, which we will come look at momentarily. So we break this. We cannot climb on these, but we can climb on this. We can jump across, climb on that, and get out. Nice, right? Okay, but you'll notice, if we play as Amy, Amy has no way to get through this room, despite this being a path for her. That's not great. So, let's fix that. That is what this is going to be for. So, we're going to take this down by 64 units. We're going to put a spring in there. How about a yellow spring? That's really convenient. Then we're going to give that a tag. We're gonna make another control sector. How about we just copy this one for the moment? Let's see, what's that tag? 14. So let's mark this 14. Do our ceiling height as 0. Our floor height is -64. And this says only strong characters can break this. So go back into the game. We dev mode 1. We skin Amy. We enter this room. And now there's this on the floor, which you can break as Amy by doing this. Cool, right? And now you can access the spring. Important note is that Amy, when she uses spring, she can hammer them, and then she goes even higher. So, we do that, and Amy's out of this room. Simple. Alright, so we've talked about easy ones, we've talked about less easy ones. Let's go back to something easy, or so it would seem. So, what we're going to do here is we're going to just stop Knuckles from getting in here. So we're going to take this up to, let's say 112 is probably good. And we're going to drag the game in. So 112 is basically the maximum jump height that Sonic can get to before stepping up. So if we play as Knuckles... I said if we play as Knuckles, we can't jump here. Knuckles has a lower jump than everybody else. If we play as Fang, we can get in here no problem. Fang doesn't care. Fang has a regular jump. Amy has a high jump. Amy can get in here no problem. Amy can go even higher than the other characters. Looks like she can go all the way to 128. So, I bet you're wondering what this is for. Well, let me show you. We're gonna go back into the game. We're gonna go into dev mode. We're gonna change our skin to Knuckles. So there's a couple problems right now. First of all, none of this stuff is set to no climb. Meaning, we can just do this. That's not what we want. Even if everything was set to no climb, we gotta be real careful about the geometry we place, because we can go right up here and still glide through. So you have to be mindful of that. So let me show you an example of the game itself doing this. While we're here, we're also going to learn about the object place command, which you can type by typing OB and then using the tab button. I also accidentally typed a slash. Don't type a slash. It doesn't matter, but don't type it. We're also going to learn about OP speed, which by default is 16, but I'm impatient, so I like to set it to 64. And we're just going to go way this way. I'm also going to go into first person, because that helps me navigate a little bit. Okay, this is about where we want to be. Okay, so this room. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. In fact, you should all be familiar with it, because I told you to go beat the game before you watch this. Now, Knuckles can make it up these just fine, but he can't make it past them. That's because this texture is the one that the developers decided to mark as no climb. There's no other way to get up there. The ledge goes around the entire room, and you can't get up these, you can't do anything. You're basically forced, as Knuckles, to go over here. Oh yeah, you can glide into those too, by the way. Or spin dash into them. Let's go back into the editor real quick. So, you guys can get creative with how you decide to do your Knuckles protection here. But that's not quite all, because we haven't talked about Fang yet. So, let's go over here to this sector that I've prepared, and take that down by 64 units. Let's also give it a new tag. It's going to be 15. 15 is a good number. So we're going to go ahead and make another control sector. In this case, the floor and ceiling flats are going to matter. So we're going to mark that everything is GFC crack. We're going to say that this is going to be a bustable block. And we're going to do strong characters only. And then we're going to do, let's see, our ceiling's negative, or our floor is negative 64, and the floor outside of it is 0. So we're going to do ceiling height 0, floor height negative 64. And we'll go back into the game. So yeah, we can... Oh, what's this? Oh gosh, what's this? What did I do? Did I not tag this properly? Oh, I didn't tag it properly because it has a tag of 0. Basic mistake. Rookie mistake. Don't do that. Anyway, here's what I was trying to show you. We're gonna go into dev mode. We're gonna switch our skin to Fang. We're gonna bounce up in here because we can. And then, how do we get this? Well, it's very simple. You do that. So, if we wanted to, we could put more FOFs down here and make a whole path for Fang that goes this way. We can use that as well, of course, to do Amy stuff. Because she can just access that no problem. Right? And then, finally, if we want to have, some kind of spin path, and we want Knuckles to have something here, we can give something to Knuckles here. So let's go ahead and make yet one more control sector. Let's see, let's make the ceiling 128, apply our ceiling and our floor textures, not in the order I just said them. We're going to go ahead and give that a new tag, which is 16. We're going to see what the other... Okay, it's Action 254. I didn't want to go find it again. Action 254 here, 15 here. Apply our crack texture. And now I still did it wrong. Did I do it wrong? I must have done it wrong. Oh, 16. Right. See, I told you. I told you you're not supposed to do that. What did I do? I went and did it. Anyway, here's a block, which we're also going to say strong characters only. Now, if we want, we can spin in here, and there's something that not all the characters can get at. Right, I have to dev mode first. So we go in here, we spin, and oh, what's that? Knuckles can access that. Maybe there's another pathway under it. Maybe there's a secret. I don't know. Get creative. That's pretty much the gist of it. So we can go here, you can go there. Amy can get down there. See, the thing to remember now is that the experience here is all different depending on which character you're playing as. Yeah, sure, I guess Sonic and Metal are basically the same, but Metal Sonic is just Metal Sonic. And Tails, well, Tails is easy mode, so don't worry about Tails too much. But if you want, you can put up stuff way up in the sky where only Tails can get at it, and put some no-climb walls outside of that area so that Tails is the only one who can get to it. Ha! Thought I was done, didn't you? Well, so did I, which is why I started recording again. We're going to make another thing for Amy here. So we're going to make that, and we're going to make a little room with a random shape because I don't really feel like being precise right now. And we're going to take this down such that it's only 128 tall. We're going to put our textures on it. We're going to put that on both sides because that's the shortcut to doing that when you have the line def facing different sides. We're also going to fix this real quick because it's been broken this whole time and it's bothering me. Let's take a save because you should save often. And now we can put a whole bunch of spikes here. They're under generic items and hazards, spike, or you can use your filter. Let's see. How many spikes do we really need here? That'll work. And then we can kind of move those there. And we can take like half of these and paste them like this. And we'll set these to flip. And that should about... Oh, I guess not. Okay, I guess this has to be shorter. Let's make that 64 instead. So now this is completely blocked off to everybody. Except Amy, because Amy can go right in there with no problem. Because she can use her hammer to destroy spikes. Ta-da! So if you want to make something completely Amy exclusive, there you go. Okay, and the very last thing we're going to do is we're going to give these bustable blocks non-default debris objects. Because if you notice, we've been making just brown rocks this whole time, when really we want to make green flower zone checkers. So we'll make another control sector. We're going to give it action 14, which is bustable block parameters. You can find it under parameters. We're going to give that tag, oh, how about 200? We're going to give our bustable block tag 200. And then this one's really interesting because you actually use this entire line here, your upper, middle, and lower texture, to tell the game what object you want to spawn. So in this case, we're going to spawn mt_GFZ debris. And then if you want to do spacing, which in this case we do, we want to put 56 in this case for our X offset, and that will make it all spawn 56 frac units apart, and that should look real nice. So if we go back into the level, don't mind me, I've accidentally undone a couple things, and it looks funny, but we still have... Wow, it really does look funny, because that should not happen. Okay, well, you saw that, right? You saw how we had the checkers instead of just generic blocks, right? And with that, I believe that's all I have for you today. I think next time we're going to take a look at how to do level headers, because we're getting to a point where having all this stuff in mind, you should be able to make a basic level with character splits. And I'm sure you're going to want to know about how to change the sky and how to change the music and the level name and do weather and all that kind of thing. It's important to note, I am answering comments, at least for the time right after these videos are released. So if you have a problem with something, or you want to know how to do something, and you want to see it in a future tutorial, you gotta leave a comment. So for now, thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more of these tutorials, and I guess I'll catch you later. Go, make map, practice thing. Bye.